Have you ever wondered what it would take to make you open your door to a stranger in the middle of a winter storm? Would you hesitate? Would fear hold you back? Or would something deeper, something more human, compel you to turn that handle and let the cold rush in? Tonight's story is about a man who opened his door on Christmas Eve and discovered that sometimes the people we save end up saving us instead. The wind screamed like something alive and wounded, hurling fistfuls of snow against the cabin windows with enough force to rattle the frames. Daniel Reed stood in the darkness watching the storm's fury, bourbon glass warming in his palm, feeling strangely at peace with the violence outside. At least the storm was honest about its chaos. At least it didn't pretend to be something it wasn't. For 8 consecutive winters, Daniel had vanished to this mountain sanctuary every Christmas Eve. At 37, he was the architect of Reed Innovations, a technology empire spanning 4 countries with over 5,000 employees whose livelihoods depended on his decisions. His signature authorized multimillion-dollar contracts. Business publications featured his success story. Politicians sought his endorsements. But here, in this timber cabin his uncle had built with calloused hands and patient afternoons, none of that existed. Here, he was simply a man who'd traded his humanity for achievement and was finally beginning to understand the cost. Uncle Marcus had constructed this refuge board by board, teaching Daniel that true wealth wasn't counted in bank accounts but measured in moments of genuine contentment. When Marcus died, Daniel inherited both the cabin and the Christmas tradition. While his family gathered in warm houses exchanging wrapped boxes and forced laughter, while former friends celebrated at parties Daniel no longer got invited to, he chose this. Isolation, safety, the comfortable lie that solitude was strength rather than surrender. Tonight marked year 8. Daniel stood before the stone fireplace, amber liquid catching firelight, watching shadows perform their ancient dance across log walls. The cabin held everything a man could need. Shelves lined with unread books, a vintage record player waiting with albums from Marcus's collection. Enough food for a week. Enough firewood for a month. Everything except what he'd spent 8 years pretending he didn't want. His phone lay abandoned on the handcrafted table, screen dark. That morning had brought a handful of messages. His brother's generic group text sent to everyone in his contacts. His mother's formal greeting that read like correspondence with a business associate. 2 former colleagues with automated holiday wishes. His executive assistant's 3-word efficiency, "Happy holidays, sir." This was what remained of his human connections. Distant, transactional, as empty as beautifully wrapped boxes containing nothing. Daniel had built an empire while dismantling his life, brick by deliberate brick. No partner to come home to. No children to carry his name or his lessons. No genuine bonds that couldn't be severed by a missed call or a canceled dinner. Just quarterly reports and shareholder meetings and red-eye flights to cities where nobody recognized his face or cared about his story. He told himself this was the price of greatness, that visionaries walked alone, that loneliness was simply the tax on ambition. But standing here at 37, approaching 38 with nothing but money and an aching emptiness, he finally recognized the lie. He hadn't sacrificed connection for success. He'd chosen isolation because connection demanded vulnerability, and vulnerability terrified him more than any business failure ever could. He was reaching for his 4th pour when the sound cut through the howling wind. 3 sharp knocks against solid wood. Daniel froze, hands suspended in midair, convinced his mind was playing tricks. In 8 years, nobody had ever disturbed this isolation. The cabin sat over a mile from the nearest neighbor, accessible only by a dangerous dirt road that became a death trap in winter conditions. Who could possibly be out there? The knocking came again, more urgent this time, almost desperate. Daniel crossed the room in 4 strides and pulled the heavy door open. Wind and snow exploded into his face, momentarily blinding him. Through the white chaos, he saw them. A woman with dark hair matted against pale skin, wearing a gray coat soaked through and clinging to her frame. Beside her, a small boy bundled in a navy parka too large for his thin shoulders, clutching a silver-wrapped box against his chest like a shield. Both were shaking so violently their movements seemed almost mechanical. Their lips had taken on that frightening purple tinge. Their eyes held that particular mix of terror and desperate hope that comes from facing death and finding possible salvation. "Help us, please," the woman gasped, her voice barely rising above the storm's roar. "Our car went off the road maybe a kilometer back. We've been walking forever, looking for anyone, anything. My phone died hours ago and my son, he's freezing, I think he's hypothermic, and I thought we were going to die out here in the dark. I know this is an intrusion. I know it's Christmas Eve and you don't know us. But please, we need help. Inside. Both of you, right now," Daniel commanded, stepping back and pulling the door wider. They stumbled through the threshold, bringing a rush of Arctic air and desperation. He slammed the door against the wind's howl and immediately moved into action. "Get to the fireplace. I'll bring blankets." He grabbed the thickest quilts from the bedroom closet and returned to find them standing frozen near the hearth, as if some invisible boundary prevented them from moving deeper into the space without explicit permission. "Here," he said, wrapping the smaller quilt around the boy's trembling shoulders. The child was shaking so hard his teeth chattered like castanets, creating a sound that made Daniel's chest constrict with sudden fear. "What's your name, son?" "Emma Mason," the boy stuttered through blue lips. "I'm so deeply sorry about your husband. Thank you for saying that. He was truly remarkable. A middle school teacher, endlessly patient and constitutionally optimistic. Mason inherited so much from him, all the best parts. He has this way of seeing goodness in everyone, even in people who've completely forgotten their own goodness exists. He decided you needed help within about 5 minutes of meeting you. That's an incredibly rare gift in this world. He has an extraordinary heart. You've raised someone truly special. Sometimes I worry the world will harden him eventually. That cruelty and disappointment will teach him to close himself off, to protect himself by caring less. But then I remember that David wouldn't want me to armor Mason against potential hurt. He'd want him to stay open, stay generous, stay believing in human goodness, even knowing that sometimes that generosity will bring pain. That vulnerability will sometimes lead to wounds." They talked for nearly 2 hours while Mason slept peacefully between them, his breathing steady and deep. Rebecca told Daniel about her work as a speech therapist, about helping children find their voices after injuries or developmental challenges, about the profound satisfaction of watching someone speak their first clear word after months of patient work and small victories. Daniel told her about Redefining, the late nights and impossible deadlines, but also about his growing doubts, his crushing loneliness, his dawning realization that he'd optimized completely the wrong variables in his life's equation. "It's not finished yet," Rebecca said gently, her hand briefly touching his arm. "You're what, 37? 38 in 6 weeks. That's young, Daniel. You have decades ahead of you to build different structures. Relationships, genuine community, authentic human connection. They require work too, just a completely different kind of work. The kind that nourishes you instead of slowly depleting everything you are. I'm not sure I remember how to do that kind of work anymore. I think I've forgotten the basic skills. Then you relearn them. It's not finished, Daniel. I promise you with everything I am, it's not too late to choose differently." Mason stirred suddenly, eyes opening and immediately finding Daniel's face. "Are you still sad?" he asked with that devastating directness children possess. "Less than I was before," Daniel admitted honestly. "That's good. My dad always said that sometimes people just need to know that someone actually sees them, that they're not invisible. That's why we talk to each other and share our stuff, so nobody has to carry all their heavy feelings completely alone. Your dad sounds like he was incredibly wise. He was the best person I ever knew. I miss him every single day. But Mom says he's still teaching us important things, just in different ways now, through memories and stuff." Rebecca's eyes filled with tears, and Daniel suddenly understood that Mason's openness, his instinctive generosity toward a lonely stranger, represented Rebecca's greatest achievement as a parent. Despite devastating loss and presumably endless struggles, she'd raised a child who still believed in kindness, who recognized pain in others and wanted to heal it, who understood at 7 years old that connection was life's most essential element. They eventually returned to the bedroom, But Daniel lay awake on the sofa for hours, staring at fading embers and replaying the entire evening like a film he couldn't stop watching. These complete strangers had crashed through his carefully maintained solitude and revealed everything he'd been missing. Not just company or conversation, but the profound warmth of genuinely caring about someone else's well-being, of being truly seen by another human being, of mattering to people beyond his business utility and market value. Christmas morning arrived crystalline and impossibly bright, winter sunlight transforming the snow into endless fields of diamonds. Daniel made French toast while Rebecca called her sister from his phone, her voice carrying relief and exhaustion in equal measure. Her brother-in-law was already driving up the mountain with professional towing equipment to extract their vehicle from the ditch. "Tom says he'll be here in about an hour," Rebecca reported, ending the call. "I'm so sorry we completely disrupted your solitary Christmas." "You didn't disrupt anything. You rescued it from being exactly like the 7 that came before it. I've spent 8 Christmases alone in this cabin, and this is the only one that's ever felt truly alive." Mason tugged on Daniel's sleeve with sudden urgency. "We have presents in the car for everyone, but I want to give you something right now." He ran to the bedroom and returned clutching the silver-wrapped box, slightly crushed from the previous night's adventure. "I made this for Aunt Sarah, but I think you need it more than she does." "Mason, I absolutely cannot accept your aunt's present," Daniel protested, though something in his chest was already breaking open. "Aunt Sarah gets presents all the time from everybody. You probably never get any. Please take it. Please." Rebecca nodded, wiping at her eyes. "Take it, Daniel. We'll create something else for Sarah. She'll understand completely." Daniel unwrapped the package with trembling hands. Inside sat a small wooden birdhouse, carefully painted to resemble a lighthouse with red and white stripes applied in slightly wobbly but determined lines. A tiny door had been painted at the base. Taped to the bottom was a drawing on lined notebook paper showing stick figures holding hands under a rainbow, with the words "family means love" written in careful, earnest printing. "Mason painted the birdhouse in his art club," Rebecca explained, her voice thick with emotion. "But he drew that picture at home last week. Those figures are supposed to represent our family. Me, Mason, and David watching over us from wherever he is now. But it can include you too, Daniel. Because everyone deserves to have family." Daniel couldn't form words. His throat had closed completely. He simply pulled Mason into a fierce embrace. This remarkable child who'd walked through a deadly blizzard and somehow decided a lonely stranger needed love more than his aunt needed another decoration for her bird-filled yard. Rebecca's brother-in-law arrived right on schedule, and the vehicle was successfully extracted from the ravine with only minor cosmetic damage. Before they left, Rebecca hugged Daniel with surprising strength. "Thank you for giving us sanctuary last night, for providing warmth and food and genuine compassion when we desperately needed all three. Thank you for saving my life in ways you probably can't fully understand, for showing me what I've been missing, for proving it's not too late to become someone different." They exchanged phone numbers, fingers fumbling with cold devices. Rebecca made Daniel promise to actually call, to not disappear back into his self-imposed isolation. Mason made him promise to find family, to never spend another Christmas alone in this cabin. After they drove away, their taillights disappearing around the first bend, Daniel sat in the suddenly silent cabin holding Mason's lighthouse birdhouse. He studied the drawing of stick figures holding hands, the careful letters spelling "family means love," and something fundamental shifted inside him. Some locked door finally opened. He called his brother. "Nathan, I need to say something. I'm sorry I've been essentially absent from your life for so many years. I'm sorry I consistently prioritized work over you, over everyone who actually mattered. I want to change that fundamentally. Can we talk? Really talk?" He called his old business school friend. "Marcus, I know years have passed since we properly connected. I know I've been a terrible friend who stopped showing up. But I want to genuinely repair that if you'll let me. Can we meet for lunch sometime soon?" He called his executive assistant. "Jennifer, after the new year, I want to restructure my entire life. I need actual time for living, not just managing business operations. Help me figure out how to make that possible without destroying everything I've built. Over the following year, Daniel systematically reconstructed his entire existence around connection rather than achievement. He hired a president and COO to handle daily company operations. He started attending his nephew's soccer games every Saturday without fail. He reconnected with old college friends who'd long ago stopped calling. He volunteered at a literacy center, teaching practical business writing to adults working toward their GEDs, discovering that helping others find their voice felt more meaningful than any deal he'd ever closed. And he stayed intimately connected with Rebecca and Mason. They became close friends first, then something deeper and more significant. Rebecca taught him how to actually be present in moments rather than always planning the next move. Mason taught him how to play without purpose, how to laugh without agenda, how to find genuine magic in utterly ordinary moments like building snowmen and roasting marshmallows. 3 years after that stormy Christmas Eve, Daniel proposed to Rebecca at the cabin during another snowfall, this one gentle and forgiving. Mason stood beside him holding the ring box, practically vibrating with barely contained excitement. I've spent far too many Christmases isolated and dying slowly inside, Daniel told Rebecca as snow fell like grace outside the window. I refused to spend even one more without you and Mason. You knocked on my door when I'd completely surrendered hope for genuine connection. You proved it wasn't too late to choose a fundamentally different path. Will you marry me? Will you both let me be part of your family? Rebecca said yes through tears of joy, and Mason cheered before launching himself at Daniel with the full force of his 7-year-old body. I knew it. I told you that you needed family, and now you get to be my actual stepdad. At their wedding 6 months later, Daniel displayed Mason's lighthouse birdhouse in a place of honor at the reception. The drawing of stick figures holding hands visible to everyone. The careful letters spelling family means love. During his speech, he told the complete story of the Christmas knock. About being alone and slowly dying inside. About strangers desperately seeking shelter. About a 7-year-old boy who decided a lonely stranger needed his aunt's present more than his aunt did. I thought I was simply offering them refuge from a storm, Daniel said, his voice breaking slightly. But Rebecca and Mason were offering me refuge from something far more dangerous than weather. They walked through a blizzard to knock on my door, and in doing so, they saved my life. Not from physical danger, but from the slow, invisible death of isolation. They reminded me that success without connection is just elaborate emptiness. That wealth without love is just expensive loneliness. That family isn't merely genetics or legal obligation. Family is the people who see you're alone and categorically refuse to let you remain that way.